Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here, and look what we got today. We are at Baxter Cycle in Marnie, Iowa, and they are going to lend me, we're going to ride this beautiful, brand new 2023 Royal Enfield Himalayan Scram 411. Isn't that just a beautiful machine? Just a fabulous, fabulous looking machine. I've got a little bit of a history with the Himalayan. I bought one about a year ago, and I've got over 12,000 miles on it, so I know they're good bikes. That one's mine, the Red Star. Beautiful little hot rod, always dirty because I always ride my bike. So, but look at this thing. So what is a Himalayan? Well, this Himalayan is the world's funnest ADV bike. You won't have any more fun on a motorcycle than you will on something like that. This is its little brother. And just take a look at that. It's got the same 411cc single cylinder, single overhead cam, 2-valve engine. So 1 valve for the exhaust, 1 valve for intake. I do all my own maintenance. I've done 3 valve adjustments on mine, and by the way, every single time was within spec. So nothing really changed in 12,000 miles. It's got it's fuel injected, of course. It's got a nice 5-speed transmission. I just love the transmission on mine. Very good, very smooth, and this has got the same thing there again. It's an air and oil cooled. There's the oil cooler, comes factory engine. It's got so much displacement and loads of torque, and it's really overbuilt for the amount of power it puts out. It puts out about 24.5 horsepower and about 23.5 foot-pounds of torque. So 411 cc's, 24 horsepower. This thing is going to run all day without any trouble. But plenty of torque, and that's one of the main advantages, I think, of my motorcycle over there is the torque. I go out on gravel roads and just tear the highway up, tear the gravel up with it. Never lacking for power. It's not fast, but it's always fun. So the biggest difference that you'll notice on this is really in the front end. If you look at the front end on this, you can see all the minutia, all the stuff on there. Bigger front tire. This motorcycle, we'll just start with the front tire. 19-inch, I think it's a 100 by 90. Yep, 19-inch, 100 by 90 Seat tire. That is a shorter tire, but it's a much wider tire. Look at how wide this tire is, and that's more street friendly. This is the 90-90-21, much taller tire. Looks like I need a new one, but look how much narrower it is compared to the Scram. Now I've driven this bike around this parking lot, but I haven't driven it on the road yet. We're gonna find out what that means as far as handling goes. The people that I've talked that have ridden this said it's a much nimbler handling motorcycle, and I can appreciate that. Another big difference on the front end of this motorcycle is this housing area, this area right here. If we go over here to my bike, my Himalayan, I've got these braces on here to hang bags on it because this is a real ADV bike. You know, we've got the headlight is separate from the handlebars. You know, you can move the handlebars without moving the headlight. It's got this beak fender. It's much more off-roady. It's got a this is an aftermarket fairing, but the stock ones have a little tiny fairing on them, and so there's quite a bit of difference there too. Now you come over here, and what's really cool about this, it's much lighter looking, much airier looking, much, it looks more, well, city. It does not look ADV, it looks sport. And one of the things I want to point out right away is this fairing, this little cowling, I guess it is, that is a cast aluminum piece. Why would they cast that in aluminum? Well, that's quality, I guess. Very nice of them. I just noticed this here, Royal Enfield little thing down here. Just a gorgeous thing, isn't it? Other differences on the front end of it. It's got a different assembly for instrument cluster. Let's go over here and look at this one. This is the instrument cluster on the Himalayan that I own. It's got all this great big housing, all this neat stuff. I like that instrument cluster. It's very nice. Provides a lot of information, but it looks dated. Coming over here to the new Himalayan, what we have here is this instrument cluster. Much simpler, much cleaner, and it essentially has all of the data that mine has, with the exception of a tachometer. And I think that's going to be okay. These bikes are low revving, and I think you'll once you start riding, you'll know right when to shift. But anyway, battery light, which every motorcycle should always have, an ABS light. This is ABS front and back engine light. Here's the analog speedometer. In here, I don't know if you can see that, there's a gas gauge built into there. There's a gear indicator, a clock, There's a trip 1, trip 2, and another nice thing about this, on my bike, you have to reach down to the dash to push the buttons to change things. On this motorcycle, it's right up here, this little button back here. If you look here, I'm pushing that little button, trip A, trip B, odometer, and you know, this bike has 7.5 miles on it, but isn't that nifty? Very clean looking, very high quality looking. I would also add that. Everything on this looks, they've done a lot of work to change this part of the motorcycle, I think, to make it look, they've upped their game on it. Good job infield. Another thing this has is the trip meter. This is a nav for your nav system. It ties in with your phone, left, right, forward, gives you directions to your, where you're going, and at the end of the trip it tells you how far you've gone and, you know, average speed and all that stuff. Now this is only available on the first 1,000 bikes released in America. So after that it'll be an extra option, you know, but the first 1,000 have that. And Baxter's, they've got, I think they've got half a dozen of these left, or a dozen of these, so really nice on their part. So let's just go ahead and look at the instruments while we're here. You know, flash to flash button over here, high-low, blinkers, horn, coming over here, kill switch, somebody's honking back, hazard lights, and the start button over here, and works really well. Isn't that kind of neat? Another difference on this is the fender, and if you look at my fender, I had to raise my fender. This fender was really quite low, and I had to raise it, the silver amount here. That's about 3/4 of an inch. And what I found was when you went into the dirt, into the gravel, into the mud, I'm sorry, into the mud, the fender would plug up with mud and the front tire would seize up. What they've done here is you could still raise this one, but they seem to have a much more open fender, and it's kind of a neat looking thing too. It still goes down quite a ways. You know, I mean, that's what you want, of course, in a bike like this, but very well done on their part. And since we're talking about fenders, they've changed the rear fender as well. They've changed this. The Himalayan, my Himalayan has a rack back here. I'll show you that right now. And you know, big old rack, nice rack. And it's got this different fender on it, different style fender. The taillight and the blinkers I think are the same, but over here we've got this different, wider looking fender, niftier looking, I guess. I don't know if it's niftier, but I like it. Very well done on their part. So there's that gorgeous engine. Another thing you'll pick up on right away are these little covers. And so why do they do that? Well, I like the aesthetic. It's a very good looking bike. And by the way, I like this color. It's blazing black, I think is what they call it. Just a gorgeous thing. But it covers the fuel pump up over here. It covers the horn up over here. It helps hide the oil cooler on this side. It really cleans up the look of the bike. Really makes it much more, I like the way it looks. I don't know what the word is for that, but it's just gorgeous. Isn't that just a beautiful, beautiful thing? Just want to point this out really quick. These are the Royal Enfield colors. You know, the red, the gold, the black. Look at that Royal Enfield right over there. Isn't that just beautiful? I like it. I like it a lot. Gorgeous. The brakes on this are 300 millimeter fixed disc, ABS. They're Vibri with a dual pot. That means 2 pistons. The caliper floats. That's what the front's got. The rear brake has a 240 millimeter Vibri single pot. That means 1 piston, and of course anti-lock as well. Very well done. Here's the master cylinder for the rear one. Master cylinder for the front one's up here, of course. Very well done in that sense. Another big difference on this is the seat is a one-piece seat. Nice big one-piece seat. I like the seat. It looks good. I like the seat on my bike as well, though. My bike has a 2-piece seat. This rear end comes off. This rear end will pop off, and then you take the forward one on. Got a backpack on there right now, but anyway, so it's a kind of a cleaner. Seems like it's tighter to the frame. You know, covers over here better. I like it. Good looking thing. It's supposed to be about a ½ an inch lower. I think it's 31 point. Let me guess on this. 31.3 or 31.2 inches, and I think that's 795 millimeters, if I'm right. I'll put that down below if I'm wrong. Gorgeous thing. The bike with the lower tire on the front, the suspension is just slightly lower. This is a 7.5 inches of travel. The Himalayan has 7.9. This is about 190 millimeters on this new one, on this Scram. The rear is the same amount of travel, 7.1, which is about 180 millimeters. It still has the monoshock rear end with the link suspension. Because of this link, you can put a shorter link in to make the bike lower, longer link in to make the bike taller. And I think you're supposed to be able to gain or lose an inch with that. So if you're a bike rider that wants a lower bike, that's something you can do for it. By the way, again, I'm going to say it, I love the color. Ground clearance on this motorcycle. On my Himalayan, it's 8.6 inches. On this Himalayan, it's 7.9, I believe. And I think that's, yeah, the 7.9, I think that's about 200 millimeters. Now my Himalayan, I put about 12,000 miles on mine already. And I've gone about 8,000 miles of gravel. At least 8,000 miles. I love, that's what I love about that bike. I get it on the gravel and just have a ball. But I've done a lot of gravel, and I've never bottomed mine out. So I think, you know, this has got plenty of suspension, almost 8 inches of ground clearance, you know, plenty of suspension. I think this will be just fine. Beautifully done on their part. Other differences that I can point out, the gas tanks are supposed to be about the same. I think it's 4 gallons or just over 4 gallons, which by the way is plenty. These bikes, my bike, I get, I think the last tank I got 61 miles a gallon. And that's, okay guys, I drive fast on that bike, but you know, fast for that bike. Anyway, so plenty of range. You know, I've got a lot of friends that have these and they claim in the 70s for mileage. So 7 times 4, you know, that's quite a bit of range. Plenty of range. I already talked about how I do all my own maintenance. That's very easy on these bikes. Oil changes are quite simple. Valve adjustments, you can do a valve adjustment and oil change in an hour, less than an hour, easy. And you know, there really isn't much more to it. Air filter change is on my motorcycle, it's behind that cover. I assume it's the same on this one. I'm going to jump back to the seat. We wondered if we put this seat on that bike, and there's actually a location difference for the locking mechanism on this seat is back here. On my Himalayan, the locking mechanism is over here. Could you put the seat on the Himalayan? On my Himalayan, you could. You just have to figure out some other way to attach it. Same vice versa. It would take some work, but you could do it. They do sit on there anyway. So gorgeous. So what is the big difference between these two? Well, I'd say this is more oriented for ADV, traveling, hitting the road, go out and have you know, the long adventure, carry the bags, all that neat stuff. This is more of a, well, more of a city bike, I would say. It's the kind of thing where on this bike, if you do, you know, I've done 12,000 miles and 8,000 at least is gravel. Well, if you have this bike, you might, in 12,000 miles, you might do 2,000 miles of gravel and 10,000 miles of city. So you want a neat little looking scrambler in-town bike, lots of fun. On the weekend, you get it out and go have a ball. You know, you can go out and hit the dirt, hit the track. You know, do by track I mean like single track or dual track. You know, go out and get some dirt and mud and dust on your bike. Well, that'll do it, and it'll do it. It should do it very well. Because it has the smaller tire on the front, the lower tire. It's a wider tire, but it's lower, it's 2 inches shorter. Handling should be much nimbler, and we're going to find out here in a minute. It should just be a fun all-around city cruiser. Once again, I'm going to say it. I love the way it looks. Just love the way this one looks. I hope the camera's picking that up for y'all. But hey, I'm Fuzzy Biker. I'm going to go take that hot rod for a spin. Let's go. Wahoo! Throw a leg over this hot rod. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? Like again, I want to point out right again, this is a much higher, it looks very well done. Very good fit and finish. Okay, kickstand is up. Kill switch is off. Wahoo! Let's go have some fun, y'all. Let's go have some fun. It feels a lot, I can tell already, it's a lighter handling bike, much lighter. There's less weight on the top of the motorcycle. Let's see what we can do here. Look at that, nice, tight turning, nice, very nice, very, very nice. Oh wow, that is even better than I could ever imagine. We got to do that again. Look at that, look at that. Isn't that just cool? It just feels, that weight being off the top just feels a lot better. I just love it, and the engine is working very well. Look at that, nice and tight. I had said that the gearing on these was different than the old Himalayan. What we found out is that that's not true. It's the same. But this bike feels like it has a lot more power than the standard Himalayan, and we think it's because it's much lighter. intersection, and it looks like we've got the whole thing to ourselves. What the heck's going on here? Hey, this bike is light and nimble handling. The standard Himalayan, the one like I have, which I absolutely love, is a great handling bike, but it's not nimble. I would say this one is much, it moves in the lanes quicker, it handles better, it does everything. It's just a lighter handling bike, much lighter. I love it, I love it. Woohoo! I love this thing. I love it. It handles, it's much lighter feeling. It's much lighter feeling than the standard Himalayan. The standard Himalayan is definitely an ADV. This is a much more nimble, look at this. It just turns on a dime. This really reminds me of the 535 I was driving here a month or two ago, a couple months ago. I mean, look at this. It's just very easy. That 19-inch tire makes a lot of difference on it. Very excited about this. I can't tell you how much I like that. I love my ADV Himalayan. This is much different. Other things I want to point out, the gauge is very easy to read, large speedometer, good angle, fuel gauge is easy to see, the clock, the gear indicator, perfect. Wow, this is a winner, guys. If you like a Himalayan, if you like a Royal Enfield, but you don't want to get a Himalayan because you're not an ADV guy, or if you're going to be a town guy, you're going to spend most of your time in the city and then go out on the weekend and hit the dirt, this is the bike for you. This is the bike for you. I love the handling. In the city, this is just chew up the road. I mean, this thing is just phenomenal. If you're interested in something like this, get a hold of Baxter Cycle, baxtercycle.com. They're located in Marnie, Iowa, off exit 51, Interstate 80 in Iowa here. But look at that, just tight handling. Tell them Fuzzy Biker sent you. As always, I don't want to stop. There it is, Baxter Cycle. Isn't that just a beautiful place? I'm not going to stop. Let's do some slow speed here, guys. Little bump in the road here. Very nice. We're going to stay off the grass because the bike is very clean. I love it. Okay, I better calm down. Hey guys, Baxter Cycle, Marnie, Iowa. baxtercycle.com. Tell them Fuzzy Biker sent you. Now get yourselves out there and ride. Wahoo!